Hello, in this video I'll try to show you how you could fix your model, or at least bring it to a state where your original question could be answered as to how to add the solidify here. And first short disclaimer, I have a dog here who's a bit under the weather and my neighbors are doing some renovations, so if you hear some weird noises, please excuse that. Nothing I can do about it. The second thing is, as you can see probably already, my Blender might look different from yours because I'm using some custom themes, some custom shortcuts, some custom add-ons or whatever. But anyway, all the steps that I do here will be applicable to your installation as well, so not to worry. In case you see something different, don't panic, don't worry, it's just normal. And eventually, if you continue working, you'll also be customizing Blender for yourself. So yeah, let's get started. And yeah, initially, as I said, after looking at this this model, my thought was well, to rebuild it because yeah, the state it's in, it's just, well, not that easy to recover, but it is doable. But then I thought that when you're a beginner and you don't really know all the tools very well, and maybe just don't have enough experience to decide which things to keep, which things to rebuild, what takes which time, whatever, you just might not have enough skill to say rebuild it any faster than fix it. And anyway, people on YouTube or on internet in general usually don't teach things like this, like how you could fix some mistakes like in this file. So I thought that maybe if I made this recording, it would help you to realize what went wrong and how to fix it, and hopefully also learn a few things that would help you in the future with modeling. So, okay, let's start looking at this file, at this model, and yeah, this piece right here. And honestly, if I was to be rebuilding it from scratch, obviously I'm not sure what you're building, where you're going with this. So yeah, I might just accidentally give you bad advice. So I think in this sense, it's also better for me to just stick with what we have here and show you how you can deal with this and how you can correct the errors in this file, so that yeah, it might help you to avoid such mistakes in the future, and also give you enough knowledge to fix any other mistakes that you might make in the future. Okay, so I prefer working in perspective mode. This is not crucial. If you're more comfortable with orthographic, it's up to you. But I just like perspective more because yeah, it doesn't, the further parts don't take as much space, so I can focus more easily on what's in front of me. Okay, and when something doesn't work, when some tools don't behave like you expect them to, when some modifiers don't don't do what they should or whatever, the first thing you have to assume always is that something is wrong with your mesh. Because you have to understand that all tools and all the modifiers and everything in Blender and any other software in general, they are designed to work with certain assumptions about your geometry. They can't just work on a random assortment of polygons, right? They need to expect certain input, and when that input, your geometry, does not match those expectations, that's when the tools start misbehaving. And so the very first thing to check if your model is behaving strangely is to open this panel here, go to Item, and switch to Object Mode, and look here at the scale. When you're modeling, all three of these values should be the same. If they're not the same, then all the tools, all the modifiers, everything will respect that, and you will get weird proportions in the tools. So for example, solidify here will you set it to 1 centimeter, right? But because the scale is non-even between the three of these values, it could be like this value on one axis and some other value in some other axis. So in that respect, yeah, these should be all the same, and ideally they all, three of them should be all one. And the easiest way to do this is to just apply the scale. So apply scale. Okay, now these are all one. And by the way, since my shortcuts are mainly custom, I might be using some tools that you don't know yet. If you see a tool that you don't know, I'm gonna be naming the tool. So for example, I just did apply. You can search for it in the search menu. So apply, and here you can find this apply all transformations and apply scale right here. And it also will show you the shortcut. This one is default, by the way. Okay, so the next thing that's immediately apparent, and this file was already in X-ray view, is when you look at this model, you can see holes in it, right? You can see that this wireframe, selection wireframe, sort of inside the model, you see these edges. This normally indicates that there are some sort of holes in your model. Now it might be literal holes like missing geometry, or might be something else, and this is just a good indicator that something is wrong with the geometry. As you can see, it's all the way here, all over the place here, on that part, everywhere basically. So let me just get out of X-ray. As you can see, when you are not in X-ray, this is not really visible. So X-ray is a good way to check for this. Okay, but that's not the only way to check for this. If you go here into overlays and enable face orientation, you'll get special colors in your viewport. Now by default the colors will be I think like blue and red. In my case the colors are different. They're just normal face color and black, but it doesn't matter. All that matters is that the colors are different. And let me just, for the sake of it, just disable the modifier for now so we can see better what's going on. So as you can see, we have polygons that mismatch with the color, right? This one is gray and this one is black. In your case, this one will be blue and this one will be red. Okay, you cannot have that on the model. Whenever you have this, you will get weird behavior, because this means that the faces, these polygons, are pointing in the different directions. And so, for example, solidify, when it tries to solidify this geometry, it will try to push this face one way, but this face completely the other way, the opposite way, right? So it will never work, right? It will try to push in different directions, so only bad things can happen there. And looking over this model, you can see it's all over the place, right? You have some long stretches of geometry that faces one way, and then bam, here the face faces the other way. That usually indicates that there are some issues inside the model. Now, which issues are those, we will soon see. So for now, I will not need this panel. I will leave the modifier turned off for now. We will not need it. I'll just maximize this view for now. And yeah, so let's switch to edit mode and start looking at the model as it is. Okay, first thing that I will do is I will switch to edge mode and go here select. I'll deselect everything here and I will go select all by trait non-manifold, right? And this will select a bunch of things, and as you can see, here are the options, the different settings for this selection that you can pick. But basically it selects most areas on your model, and what this does, basically, it shows you the possible problematic areas on your model. Now, it's not always a guaranteed problem, because as you can see, for example, it selects this border. It's quite normal, because obviously your model just ends here. So yeah, it doesn't always select only the problem areas, but it's a good indicator of where the problems are. Okay, for example, if I untick boundaries here, this selection goes away, but the other problems remain. Okay, but I'll leave it ticked for now. And the first thing I'll try to do to fix all of this is I'll select everything and go into mesh normals, recalculate outside. This should hopefully reverse most of these polygons so that they're pointing in the same direction. So mesh normals, recalculate outside. Okay, I'll deselect everything, and as you can see, it did a good job, but it didn't fix everything, right? Like these polygons, for example, this one is gray, but these ones are black, and as you can see, I just clicked here, and I see this weird long face selected here, this giant angon that obviously shouldn't be here, right? It's just blocking this this divot here, and in general, it's just obvious mistake. Probably you just had some selection and pressed F by accident and filled this, made this angon, or something else happened. Anyway, as I just found it by accident, but yeah, I'll just delete it, right? But I can see that there are more of these right here because I see this one is poking through, right? So maybe you can do it a more easier way. Let's try to find all the other angons in your model. So we're gonna go select all by trait. This is in face mode. Select all by trait, faces by sides. And here by default number of vertices is 4, and I want to select everything that's more than 4. So I'll switch type from equal to greater than. Okay, and now this tool selected all of my angons. Right, now obviously some of these I need to keep because I won't be focusing on those for now at least, but some of those obviously I don't need, I need to delete. So I'm just gonna deselect those that I wish to keep, right? Like this one, these ones, probably for now everything here. Yeah, just switch to X-ray and deselect that. Okay, so I'm left with these, right? And I just inspect them visually, and I see that they are obviously out of place, like they are intersecting here, and in general just well, I see that they should not be here, right? And so I'll just delete them, right? Delete the faces. After doing that, without doing anything else, I'll do this thing again while I select everything and go mesh, normals, and recalculate outside. Okay, and you can see that this area where there was previously a problem, it was fixed, right? These things, but some other areas weren't fixed. So let me repeat that again. Okay, so here, for example, as you can see, the colors are still different between the faces. So obviously there is still some sort of problem here. Okay, and so let's just try focusing on this. This actually, I checked the file before. This is a very strange problem that rarely actually occurs. So let me show you it in more detail. So let me go here into edge mode again and do a select all by trait non-manifold. Okay, let me just untick boundaries. It'll keep this selection for me, right? And I'm just gonna isolate this selection by going mesh, show hide unselected tops. Now I wanted faces. How should I do this? Okay, let me just then undo what I just did and do the selection again. So mesh, select all by trait non-manifold, keep the boundaries intact. Okay, or maybe what I need to do is switch to vertex mode. Let's see, select all by trait non-manifold, boundaries. Yeah, I need to do it in vertex mode, then it keeps the vertices here. Okay, and now I can hide unselected. Okay,